Titans fans, hello and welcome back to the Two Tone Crew. This is episode 152. I'm John Boy, and we are the official podcast of TitansReport.com. Scotty, season's on the brink, my friend.
It's looking bad, but I'm ready to get on here and give my expert analysis.
Yes, indeed. It's just going to be you and I tonight. Jamal couldn't make it. He's still trying to fix his Wi-Fi, internet, whatever's going on there. But it's going to be an interesting one for a lot of reasons. But first of all, I'll just say straight up, I was telling you guys in our little thread or little personal message thing, private message, whatever it's called. This game I didn't actually get to watch fully attentively like I normally do. I was at a Christmas party, so I was kind of, catching a little bit here and there and then watched the final drive. So I think we should just start with, and I can't bring myself to rewatch it. I saw the last drive and then I saw the 49ers drive. Can't bring myself to rewatch it. So I thought we'd just start with you kind of giving just your overall thoughts on how this game went down in terms of, because from what I could see, I was following the stats and everything. It looked like we were moving the ball, had a lot of mental mistakes, and then the defense was just the whole bend but don't break, but they bent a lot and gave up lots of field goals, and offense turned it on a little too late and then left too much time. So what's your overall summary there?
Well, here's why the game was so brutal. They're obviously on the brink of making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. This was their last game against a team with a poor record.
Right.
And last week and this week, you have to almost win one of those. They fall down 16-3. Okay, not only are they losing these games, but Mariota's struggling, and that's an issue too. He starts bringing them back. He's playing great. You're thinking, okay, this is what we've been wanting to see. They take the lead and then blow the game at the end. It was, just the worst way to see a loss after seeing them come back and seeing Mariota play well. You're thinking, okay, if he can do this, and then not to be. They blew it. Now they got two tough games, and you're thinking they can actually finish 8-8 after starting 8-4. So
It's unreal. Yeah, we joked about it 2 weeks ago and talked about how bad things would be if that happened. And I mean, now we're staring it right in the face. Like you said, the two easy ones are over. Those were supposed to be the games that you just had to win one of those two, and we would have been in a really, really good position with really basically they would have been going into this Rams and Jags game with almost nothing to lose. I mean, very likely 9-7 would make the playoffs, although it looks like that could be depending on we'll talk about all the playoff scenarios later. It looks like the Jags game is definitely more important because of the whole AFC tiebreaker thing, and Buffalo's right there. But we'll get into all that later. As far as this game goes, yeah, I mean, just another. It was these early in the year we were winning these close games, right? We saw them come back a few times. We even made the joke on the podcast, they're going to fall behind 10, 12, whatever, and then they'll come back at the end and find a way to win. And they were doing that for the first 75%, first 3/4 of this season. They were doing that. They were finding ways to win. And these past 2 weeks, they have lost very close games, and for different reasons. This game, it seemed like the offense was much better, whereas the game before the game before the offense was pretty much terrible against Arizona. Put up 7 points and didn't do anything at all. This game they moved the ball a lot, but from what I was seeing that you posted and from what I was reading, during the game, Delaney Walker cost them big time this game. I mean, he had a drop in the end zone, and he had a fumble on a drive that was moving, which somebody on Titans Report posted that basically since he came out and said he doesn't get any respect, that he's been making a lot of big mistakes, costing the team.
Oh yeah, he definitely. I even said he was the main reason they lost. He not only did what you said, but he also ran out of bounds twice on the final drive when they needed to burn clock.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, so it's just frustrating. I mean, especially when you see the offense, everybody talks about the speeding it up this game and showing signs of life. I mean, they just looking at Mariota's numbers and from what you said, I mean, he clearly started to show something this game and look more like his old self. I mean, I saw that the touchdown pass in the end zone, or when the one he made to Delaney, where he looked off the guy, that looked like Mariota last year. I mean, it was vintage Mario, or maybe was it Richard when he looked the guy off.
I think it was.
I think it was the Richard touchdown when he looked. Delaney was right there too, but I think Richard caught that one. Yeah, I mean, from the highlights I saw, he was starting to look like his old self again. And you and I were talking just before we hit record that this has been a recurring theme throughout the year that he just seems to play better when they're behind, when it's like he's nothing to lose at that point, right? I mean, you're just trying to come back.
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, and let me go broader on this. Last year, before his great run, I'll even go further back. Remember his rookie season in training camp? He went
Oh yeah,
so long without throwing an interception. I can't remember how
right.
many practices, but it started to like gain momentum and people talked about it a lot. I remember, I don't know if it was Greg Cassell or somebody. I remember them saying, that's nothing to brag about. If he's not throwing an interception in practice, he's not taking enough
Yeah,
risk.
I remember that too.
I blew it off at the time. Okay. Then last year, early on, he struggled. People commented he won't throw the ball. He drops back. He's afraid to throw it. He said, I remember him saying this. When he really took off, the coaches convinced him, "Hey, don't worry about it. Just let it rip. Just when you see it, throw it." And he all of a sudden he started throwing with anticipation, accuracy, making big plays, and it all started clicking. This year, how many times in the games have the announcer said, we talked to Mariota before the game. He says he's killing the offense. He's making mistakes. He has to quit hurting the offense. And I told you in one of the games, as soon as they fall behind, I think it was the Ravens game. I guarantee you he starts playing a lot better.
Yeah,
They fell behind. What has he got? 4 game winning drives. And in
at
this
least
one,
four. Yeah,
when they fell down 16-3, all of a sudden the Mariota from last year was back. And then I'll even go a step further. They took the lead in this game, right?
yeah, yeah.
Since you probably didn't see this drive, but they have the lead and they have the ball. On 3rd and 6, he throws a pass to Delaney Walker. James Lofton even said this. I thought it when I saw it. This has actually been talked about. I'll credit Sign for the third time. He said Mariota is leading these guys and throwing and trying to throw it carefully so he won't throw an interception. Remember him saying that?
Right, yeah, on the board, on the message board, yeah.
He did it again on 3rd down. And Delaney Walker actually kind of asked for pass interference and kind of ran a bad route and kind of pass because he was trying to protect the lead and not lose the game. And then,
Hmm.
it was talked about on 3rd and 2, he asked to run the ball. Can't help but think he didn't want to do something to cost the team. They're on the edge of field goal range, and he's too afraid of making a mistake. And when they're behind, he plays so much better. And when there's, like you said, there's nothing to lose, it's time to let it rip.
Yeah.
I really think that's one of his issues and why he's struggled in some of these games.
The only time he didn't do that was last week, I mean, against the Cardinals. In that game, he just looked so shell
Well,
shocked and had the injury that game. So, I mean, I don't know. That
the the
game,
the 49ers defense is terrible.
oh,
And
yeah.
that was pretty obvious in this game. I mean, he was hitting guys that were wide open. The Cardinals defense, they ain't no joke. So they were all over him last week. That
Yeah.
was a much harder task.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yes. I mean, it's something they got to figure out. And when you're a running team and can't run the ball, that makes it 10 times worse. Because last year, they could rely on the run even early in games. And what did the running game look like overall this game? I mean, just looking at the stats, Murray 59 yards on 3 point or average 3.3. Doesn't seem like Henry really got much at all in this game.
No, he didn't. But once again, they were behind. But I'll tell you what they did, and I went back and watched the game that I thought was interesting. They spread the field out a lot. They played three wide receivers and went to shotgun. They ran the ball out of shotgun a lot. And what the 3rd and 2 play at the end, that's the big controversial play where they ran Murray from shotgun from three wide receivers.
Hmm.
That was clearly a big part of the game plan because they did it a ton throughout the game, even early. And it was working. I believe the reason they were doing that, 49ers have a real bad pass defense. I think they were spreading them out. The 49ers also play like a one gapping scheme where they penetrate. So I think they were trying to run draws. They even ran a quarterback draw with Mariota once where he dropped back, let the defensive line rush upfield, and he took off. So that's clearly what they were trying to do. And actually, I have to say, I know those stats don't look good. I'd have to see if Murray got stopped in some short yardage or something, but
Hmm.
he looked better. He looked better running the ball this week than he had more explosion and he
Yeah,
he he looked really good running the ball. I know his numbers aren't that good, but
I was following the game thread, and a lot of people, I saw a lot of people were saying, he early they were having some success running the ball. Well, let's talk about that last drive. Oh, well, I guess not the last drive. 49ers had the last drive, but the last Titans drive. And well, no, our last scoring drive, I guess, when we went down and got the field goal to go ahead by one, because you made a post right before we went on the air, and I'll let you just kind of rehash it here. But it seems like that they really just the clock management was totally botched on that drive. Multiple players, coaches. I mean, I don't know who all. I'm sure everybody was involved, but it was just poorly managed across the board.
oh, they did stuff that's just unexplainable. They got the ball with about 3:08 left. Obviously, they need a field goal to take the lead. In this situation, your ideal scenario is to use the clock up, kick the field goal as time expires, which is
Yep.
what the 49ers did. Okay, the Titans are basically in a hurry up mode. They their receivers 3 or 4 times they ran out of bounds and there was about 2:20 left in the half and they're close to midfield. Okay, that's more than enough time to get in field goal range. So time is not a factor. They still have a timeout.
Yeah.
They rush to the line. It's first down, and they get a snap off before the 2-minute warning.
It was a run, right? To run the
Yeah,
ball.
and they ran the ball for 2 or 3 yards. Okay, I actually went back and forth with Koharski on this because I read his mailbag, and people were like, "I want you to rip Malarkey to shreds," blah blah blah. And he said, "There's nothing to really ask him," blah blah blah. Well, I wanted Koharski to ask him why they were rushing to get that playoff because it's real simple. We don't know the inner workings of the offensive scheme and all that stuff, right?
Right,
But
right.
we can do math
Yeah.
and we understand this stuff. Okay, you let it go down to 2 minutes, you come out and run the exact same play.
Yeah.
You can either run down 35 seconds, 40 seconds, or make the 49ers use a timeout. I went back and watched, and I didn't calculate it exactly. There's too many plays. At one point, they ran 8 plays and used less than a minute, and the Niners did not use one of their timeouts.
Mm.
8 plays. It's amazing, and they could have done the exact same drive, except the receivers stay in bounds.
And just let the play clock run down each time.
Another 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 part of the drive. There's like two something left. I mean, one something left. I'm looking at it
After the
right here.
2 minute warning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right here. Okay, there's 149 left. The clock's running. The 49ers did not use their timeout here. They're only 7 yards away from where they actually kicked the ball.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
they hurry up to the line and snap the ball with 20 seconds left on the play clock. They could have burned another 20 seconds right there. They don't. And
That's mind blowing.
I can only assume that Mike or Kyle Shanahan is on the sideline looking around like, is this for real? Or You can make some arguments earlier in the drive, even though I wouldn't, because 3:08 is plenty of time to get in field goal range. But now
Yeah.
you're almost in field goal range, and you're still in hurry up mode. And the next play is when they throw it to Walker. He doesn't get the first down, so it's not like he was fighting for first down. He just ran out of bounds and stopped the clock. So they still haven't used a timeout. And now we're on 3rd and 2, the final play, and they haven't used a timeout, and there's still over a minute left. It's really one of the worst time management issues I've ever seen. And I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I've defended Malarkey on the offense, and a lot of stuff being said about the offense in this game is just flat out ridiculous. This stuff right here, the coaches to me don't do a lot of stuff. The coordinators, the position. If you can't do this right, and it's the second week in a row after the fake field goal,
Hmm.
I'll get on board with a coaching change fast
Yeah.
because this lost the game. You're
Yeah.
fighting for playoffs. You're regardless of what happened else in the game. This lost the game. I would love to ask Kyle Shanahan, in secret, what he thought. I mean, he had to just be thinking, "This is unreal. They're going to give us the ball back." By the way, I think they scored on something like seven. What was it? Here it is, right here. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. They scored on 7 of 8 drives. One of them was at the half. Okay, the one they didn't score on, the tight end dropped a wide open third down pass. They never
Mm.
stopped the 49ers. So and Logan Ryan's out of the game. You have to understand
Yeah.
all this stuff. You have to the flow of the game. And I'm blaming Malarkey 90% for this because they practice this stuff every day. But I got to tell you, Mariota should have a command of this to a degree too. So I blame him a little bit. And Delaney Walker, I mean, seriously, you've been in the league 11 years. You don't know to stay in bounds here. But I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Malarkey's the
that's
head
like,
coach, but he deserves most of
yeah,
the blame.
that's what I'm thinking. Like, if he's running out of bounds, if Mariota's hurrying him to the line, I mean, don't you think that must have been the plan that they're getting from the sidelines?
Uh, yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I had to be.
Which is sad. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I couldn't believe it. I was watching that drive, just shaking my head almost the whole time. And what's funny is I can't think of a specific example, but I definitely remember Malarkey in other games. He's almost aired on the other side of this of letting too much time go at the end at these end of half scenarios. I mean, I remember times where I thought, man, you should probably take the time out there near the end of a half, and they're just
Right.
kind of letting the clock keep going. So I was really surprised. I mean, I don't know what the thought process was. Like you said, even if you give them the benefit of the doubt early in the drive, you say, okay, I get it. You want to make sure you can get up there first. But it's like at that point, with 3 minutes left and you only have one timeout, this is it. You're not gonna, you can't worry about getting the ball back and playing a field position game. Your goal has to be to kick a field goal or score as the clock is expiring. I
You
mean,
you also have the luxury of getting to play all 4 downs, which they went for fourth
yeah,
on fourth. So you've got 4 downs to move the ball, and if you don't get in field goal range, it doesn't matter anyway. So the time doesn't matter. Oh,
yep,
it's maddening because there's no way it can be explained in a positive light. He would have to just say, we screwed up, we're stupid. But I still wouldn't even understand how that, what the reasoning was at the time.
right. And then the 3rd and 2 play, I mean, like you said, that's the one that's caught the most attention. People are kind of ignoring the whole drive. I, of course, wanted a pass play, and jaw just hit the floor after the game when Mariota said he asked for that. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I mean, that I've defended him time and time again, but I really hope there's some sugarcoating of the truth or him just trying to take it for his coaches or something. But A, why would you even volunteer that information? But it's just like,
I don't think that takes up
why
for
would
the.
you say that?
I think he said it because it's true. I mean, I don't see how that defends the coaches. I mean,
No, I'm saying like if he probably knew they were going to get heat for calling a run play, so if he just says I wanted to run the
yeah,
play, then I mean, they
But
called a timeout, so it had to be a discussion on the sidelines for all of them. But if he asked for that,
well,
that that really rubs me the wrong way. I mean, if you think it's going to work, I mean, we've seen Peyton Manning do this at times when he just felt real strong about a run play and everybody's expecting pass. But in that situation, the ball should have been in his hands. Roll him out, give him a run option, whatever. But a run up the middle when it's were they running up the middle a lot this game? You mentioned they were running out of shotgun a lot. I mean, were they
well,
having success?
yeah.
Because they haven't in recent weeks.
After I watched the game again, I was kind of like, okay, here's the 3rd and 2. I mean, here it was clear.
So they were.
It was
Okay.
clearly in the game plan from the start. I didn't count it, which I meant to, but Henry and Murray ran out of the shotgun in the very same formation. I'm gonna guess 8 to 10 times,
Mm,
and they did it. But maybe you can help me out here. Mariota also said he should have checked to a pass.
right.
I heard different variations where I saw Malarkey say,
Yep.
"Yeah, they loaded the box," but then right after the
Then
game,
he
he
said
said,
they.
"Yeah." So
Yeah.
I actually thought Malarkey was defending because I mean common
Mariota.
sense. Yeah, common sense tells you that they cannot give up a run, and they definitely loaded the box because if you
Yeah.
let them run for a first down and the clock's you essentially lose the game. So you have to take your chances and load the box. So I'm going to say that the box was loaded.
Yeah. Immediately after the game, Malarkey said he shouldn't have checked it. Then the next day, he said he should have checked out of it, but they should have gotten it anyway. I'm like, what? But yeah, I mean,
There
I think
was a
he's
big
just trying
hole.
to
I think
cover everybody.
Murray did make a poor decision. There was a big hole on the left, and he just ran into the back of the line, kind of. But that's neither
Yeah.
here nor there as far as whether he should have passed or not.
And I'll be honest, after the clock situation, there was part of me that was thinking, just go for it. Just go for it right here. Because even if Suck Up makes that, which is a 50-yarder, that's not a sure thing.
He lost a yard on the run too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking, even if he makes this, there's going to be so much time. There was part of me saying, just go for it.
I mean, there's a slight argument. I mean, I see that crossing your mind, but you have to kick the field goal there. I mean, if he went for it and didn't get it, ugh.
After last week.
And
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, I was so mad at how poorly managed the drive was before the 3rd and 2. The 3rd and 2 shouldn't
That was
matter.
not,
So
yeah, yeah. At that point, you were just
that's
done.
what people focused on. But to me, the game was lost up to the 3rd and 2 on the drive.
So you think Jimmy G, is he going to throw for 381 on the Jags this week?
No, no. By the way,
Yeah, I'm going to say not a
he
chance.
he actually threw 2 interceptions in this game. Jackson dropped one
Oh
in the
my
end zone.
gosh. Yeah, we forgot to talk about that.
And the
What's your take on the Walden one? Did he have it?
yes, here's what I believe happened. He went up and caught it, and the receiver, I forget which receiver it was. He grabbed onto the ball, and Walden jerked it away from him and had it. What happened is the receiver gets on the ground and basically just tries to wrap up on there. He basically just tried to make it look like they tied.
Look like a tie, yeah.
But there's no way that was a tie. He caught it. And
I saw the same thing. I've
several
watched.
people posted screenshots where it shows it definitely should have. I thought the receiver took advantage of the rule by just trying to make it look like it was a tie when it really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the replay of that one many times. I thought the same thing. And then Adoree just flat out dropped the other one. That
Yeah.
probably puts the game away right there.
Oh, yeah. They win the game if he catches that, no doubt about it. And it was kind of a hard catch, but he's supposed to be Mr. Olympian super hand, so he should have caught it.
In some ways, he's been almost like the exact opposite of what I was expecting. It's like I mean, he did get burned a lot early, but he's kind of settled down now to be a pretty solid corner. But we've not seen any big plays from him, even in the punt game, since like
Right.
week 4 or something.
Yeah. I mean, he actually, I think, has been burned more against the better teams, too. I think, before Garoppolo, they played nobody that could really exploit him. I don't think
Yeah.
he's bad or anything, but I don't think he's. I still think he's got a lot to
Marshawn
learn.
Lattimore.
No, which
Yeah.
I I want to talk about the defense real fast.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay, this is the first competent quarterback they played in a while, right? Okay, last year the pass defense was shredded. Remember how many, Andrew Luck shredded them in 2 games.
Oh
Even the
yeah.
Browns and the Bears. Remember the Bears?
Should have
Was it
won. They
was it
dropped
Matt
they dropped the ball at the end.
Barkley? It was Matt Barkley, right? For the
Yeah.
Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh the guy for the Browns, not Kaiser, but the other guy. Can't remember his name.
Well,
He
Manziel beat us that one year. I don't think that was last year though, was
Yeah,
it?
that was before.
That was the year
Was it?
before.
But anyway, remember they cut Parrish Cox in the middle of the season. They got rid of McCourty, who went on to look pretty good this year for the Browns.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they upgrade their secondary, right? Which I actually think their secondary is good. I think Sims has really come on. Adoree Jackson, solid for rookie, and obviously Logan Ryan. And then
Ryan's been great in the
yeah,
slot. Yeah.
and hey, Brown at nickel linebacker, he's been good. Okay, I went back. Check out these numbers. I went back and the six quarterbacks I thought with competent offenses. Uh, David Carr.
Yep.
I mean Derek Carr. Derek Carr.
Deshaun.
Uh, Russell Wilson. Watson. Big Ben. Even put Andy Dalton in there and Garoppolo. Listen to these numbers for the season. Those guys combined were 17. What was 177 of 238? That's a 74 completion percentage. Okay, 1,863 yards. That's almost 8 yards a pass. Okay, 17 touchdowns and one interception.
Oh,
The average game for these guys, 30 of 40 for 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Passer rating 118. Uh, to put this in perspective, this is basically Tom Brady's season when he went undefeated and set the records. If you spread it out over 16 games, that's how bad this defense is. The pass defense. Okay, go back a few years. He was graciously kind of taken out of the Steelers. Remember Tebow
yeah.
in the playoffs? I mean, he threw for
Oh
300
yeah.
yards. They were beaten because he plays man coverage, and you cannot. I don't care. You can't do that anymore. The rules are way too pass friendly.
Focused on the
Yeah,
receivers.
and
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Malarkey. If you don't understand this, you are not going to a Super Bowl. Which, haha, going to the Super Bowl right now is real funny. But
Yeah.
with this defensive scheme against quality quarterbacks, you have zero chance. Zero. So,
Yeah.
talk about Robisky all you want. LeBeau is the one that has to be replaced. He has to be. Or, get him to change it, but I don't think he's changing. This is what he does. And the fact that they played a bunch of scrubs, which, blitzing scrubs and poor offenses, that actually works, but he does it against the good quarterbacks. Did you see Garoppolo's quote after the game?
No, haven't seen it.
He said, I love the fact that they kept blitzing. It makes it so easy to make the read. And, he said he loved it. They all love
Yeah.
it. Manning, Brady, those guys love getting blitzed. Rex Ryan, he beat Manning and he beat Brady in the playoffs. The reason he finally did it is because he quit blitzing and he played coverage. Denver, 2 years ago, they won the Super Bowl. Wade Phillips
Yeah.
against Brady.
Rush with the front.
They rushed three people a lot of times. The days of blitzing in the 85 Bears and that's that anymore. So they replaced the secondary. The pass results are the same. It's not the players, it's the scheme. And you can argue about offense versus defense. This won't do it. And if you can't get a better defensive coordinator in here that has a better scheme, then they do need to replace the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Because this won't work.
That's what I was going to say. At some point, it starts to reflect poorly on the coach, right? I mean, because he's the guy putting
Yes.
these guys in charge. And to Malarkey's credit, I guess, early in the year there was a couple of games where it actually sounded like LeBeau was in danger of being replaced. Remember,
I
he
thought
he
I
talked about
posted that.
stepping in,
I think he was
and it,
because
it seemed very close to. I shouldn't say very close, but
well,
if you read the tea leaves, it kind of felt like that.
the fact that he called him out in public and admitted that he sat in defensive meetings is it's pretty insulting to the defensive coordinator. What the issue was then, which is even crazier, is he wasn't putting the best cornerbacks in the best
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
He
that's right.
he was leaving, LaShawn Sims or whoever,
McCain was guarding
McCain.
Hopkins at some points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not only does he care if he plays man coverage, he don't even care which corner the fourth cornerback's on the best receiver in the league.
yeah.
And I know Jamal and a few other people have praised the defense. I think Football Outsiders, which adjust the defense compared to the opponents, they have them like 27th and the pass defense like 28th or something. The defense, what they did against the bad teams is meaningless. You're not going to play quarterbacks that bad, that many of them in a season, hardly ever.
No, yeah, I know you guys love to go back and forth about the offense and defense. I think the sad realization that everybody's coming to is they're both bad. And the one thing I will say that's different about the offense, the defense was at least able to play well against bad teams. The offense hasn't really even been able to do that. Even against the bad teams, they haven't been able to score a lot of points. So
No,
it's just,
but
yeah, go ahead.
I want to say something about the offense in this game too. There's a lot of talk about there was you know, they started playing hurry up, and all of a sudden, the offense exploded or whatever. That's not what happened in this game. What happened in this game, the 49ers defense is terrible, and they moved up and down the field the whole game. Uh, the first play of the game, Mariota took a sack. That killed that drive. The second play, where they played mostly heavy formations and slow, Delaney Walker dropped a touchdown pass. The third drive, they go to the hurry up. Delaney Walker fumbles the ball from the hurry up. Hey, another thing, the 49ers had the ball the entire first half. They had over 20 minutes they had the ball in the first half.
Yeah, I
So
knew it was a lot.
by the time the Titans got the ball back, it was the 2 minute warning, which was a great 2 minute warning, by the way. I mean, 2 minute drill. They scored a touchdown. Then they got the ball back in the third quarter, and they did go hurry up and spread the field. They were stopped twice on 3rd and 10, and the 49ers committed penalties that extended the drive. And then they stopped them again on third down, and they kicked the field goal. So it's not like this K-gun attack, blew it up, and the other malarkey offense was stalling. They were moving the ball the whole game, and self-inflicted mistakes stalled the drives. Which I have no problem with. You can do the hurry up here and there, which they've tried earlier, and Malarkey talked about it. They threw an interception against the Ravens when they were trying to hurry up. So, yeah, there's a time to use it. I'm sure against certain defenses it works and everything, but everyone is looking for this answer for Mariota that's going to cure his ills, and I think he's just got to work on his mechanics and just get better. I don't think there is any magical formation or scheme that's going to fix all that.
Well, they got 2 games left, so not lots of time for change, and it's probably 2 of the most difficult games of the year that are ahead. Christmas Eve, they've got the Rams at home, and talk about the defense against good quarterbacks. Man, I mean, here we go. We've got one of the best running backs in the league this year, and a high-powered offense who just absolutely obliterated the Seattle Seahawks,
Oh man,
which even in their current state, their defense is obviously better than the Titans' defense, but they're just absolutely destroyed. And the Titans are, I mean, the season, we said it in the opening, the season is on the brink. To be fair, the Rams game, not nearly as important as the Jags game, but the Jags are a pretty darn good team as well. So, I mean, this is a very scary situation here that they find themselves in. I mean, they're looking right at a potential 4-game losing streak to finish the year, which, I mean, we talked about it, I guess, 2 weeks ago, or maybe even last week, some about, that's really hard on to go into an off season like that and not have major changes. It's just hard.
Depending on how the season ends, which 8-8 looks very possible. I'm not extending Malarkey, but I'm not firing him. I'm giving him his third year to see. I think it's fair to give him third. You can't pay attention to the fans, and you have to give him a chance to fix some of the stuff we're talking about and see if Mariota gets better. And if
What do you do about the coordinators, though, if you don't extend him? I know that's always the argument because if he has to hire a new coordinator on either side of the ball,
hey,
it's going to suck.
Too bad you shouldn't have screwed up. I still think I still think you can get somebody. I mean, he's got a lot of connections, and too bad TGO ain't on here. He could explain who could be promoted from
Probably
the
give
coaching.
us a list. Yeah.
And that person would be hired right after he told us.
I think Lou Spanos is the guy on our staff that he would predict to take over.
Yeah, okay. I mean, whatever, but getting a coordinator is going to be his problem if they finish 8-8.
Yeah.
And I don't see any. They might do it, but if they keep Dick LeBeau, it's not going to work. But I mean, I've talked about. I don't think Robisky is that big a deal because I think it's Malarkey's offense. So
yeah, I agree.
If he wants to take over the play, maybe this is my last year. I'm going to take over the play calling or something like that. That's fine, but whatever. I personally think, which I wanted to say this too. Robinson's got some stuff to answer for too.
Yeah.
Okay, Murray had a great start to the season last year. He was, kind of a used up running back. They traded for pretty easy, and they drafted Derrick Henry. They should have had a better plan in place at running back. You're thinking, first of all, he was hurt and kind of struggled at the end of last year. So you better either know Derrick Henry's the answer, especially a power running team like this. Then they draft Jonnu Smith to be the tight end, and he can't do it. And he drafted a receiver at 5, and who was hurt and was hurt some more. And this has been
even
talked about.
Taywan Taylor. I mean, he doesn't seem to be able to pick up the offense,
Right?
And they didn't make any effort on Fasano to replace
right.
what he did. I mean, they tried to sell, oh well, Supernaut can do it, and Jonnu Smith can be a blocker. And I don't know. I mean, surely Malarkey that's him and Malarkey both.
Well, I think they have to sit down and look at the whole team, the whole philosophy on how to win and everything.
Yeah.
One of the problems with the GM and coach having the kind of equal footing is there's no one to be the final say and everything. And I'm sure Amy Adams Strunk, she don't know. So that's actually I think a problem. Unlike when they had Jeff Diamond and he could kind of rule over Floyd and Fisher. But you posted about it. I mean, 2 early picks in a draft haul, and they come on that thing without really an impact player.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like you said, or somebody, I think it was you. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, we could get on him for missing on guys like Bosa and Lattimore, but even if you don't get on him for that, like you were saying, even if you just look at the picks they've made, what have they really gotten out of all those picks? I mean, Conklin looks like he's going to be pretty good, but I don't think anybody would say, yeah, I'd give up. Well, I guess some people would, but number 8,
no.
I mean, come on.
A right tackle is not that important overall. A guy like Bosa or Lattimore, the Saints. Okay, that's another thing. I'm glad we're talking about this because I thought about this too.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the teams. The Saints get rid of their number 1 speed receiver, and they focus on defense. They're possibly going to the Super Bowl. The Jags completely sell out on defense, not by their own doing, but they lose their number 1 receiver. They could be going to the Super Bowl. You know,
Yeah.
picking a receiver at 5, I said it before the draft. This ain't hindsight. I said before the offseason, you have to go defense all the way. Uh, Bortles won 5 or 6 games this year where the other team scored less than 10 points. How about making it easier on Mariota that way?
Mm. Yep.
Because honestly, even against these bad teams, he's in a position late in every game where he's either got to bring them back for four fourth quarter comebacks, or the Cardinal game and this game where he does bring them back, but they lose anyway. It's almost the whole picture. Like, I've lost a little bit on Robinson just because of how he built the team and what he focused on.
And
This,
aren't he and Malarkey like on kind of the same contract length?
yeah, and there's a lot of things he did good, but honestly, I'll tell you what, a general manager does not. He had a quarterback already, he had a left tackle already, and he had the number one pick in the draft.
Mm. Yep.
It's not. And honestly, what were they, 3-13 the year before he got here? They were playing practice squad players toward half of that year because they had so many injuries. It's one of the reasons I said that they would go 10-6 last year and Malarkey would have a good year, because they were so much worse than what they really were. There's nothing to do but improve.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
I mean, here we are in what, year 3 of Robinson, and they still need a lot of impact players. And we don't know about Corey Davis yet. Is he going to be good or not? I don't know.
Well, he's had
So,
what, two drafts, and so he'd be heading into his third draft,
yeah,
right?
his third draft.
Yeah.
And hey, the picks are over. All the
Yeah.
picks from the
Exactly.
trade, that's over. So now you're just picking like anybody else. And
Yeah, the reason I bring up the contract thing is because isn't it about time to trying to decide whether or not you extend him as well, if he's on a 3-year deal?
uh,
Or no, he'd be on, I think he's on 4. TGO could tell us.
honestly, honestly, I still think he's a good general manager. And to me, Malarkey go to me. The two most important people in the team is Mariota and then Robinson.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, to be fair to Robinson, I mean,
yeah,
the roster was in such a bad spot, as you were alluding to there, that just by getting us to a point where we've got serviceable backups, I mean, to where you don't have to go to practice squad players. I mean, Antonio Andrews was a starting running back, for goodness sakes.
right, right,
That's where we were at. So he's done a great job. Yeah, but there
yeah.
definitely some questions.
He deserves criticism for the lack of impact players from the early picks he had, at
Yeah.
least so far. I mean, if you put a Joey Bosa, a Lattimore, a Jamal Adams, one of these guys, you not only do you have an impact player or playmaker, you also have a building block
Yep.
going forward, no matter what happens. And
Ramsey, that was the other big one.
oh yeah, he's still got Sims and Byard and signed Logan Ryan and Brown. I mean, he's still done a lot of good things. So I'm not saying that he's in danger, but he does deserve some of the criticism for where they're at right now.
Yeah, and when it comes to the whole coaching situation, I think it's interesting because we don't know the behind the scenes in terms of how much power Robinson and Malarkey kind of carry. Like you were saying, it's like, is it 50-50? That's what it seemed like at the time.
That's how it
But
started.
now that,
That's how it started.
yeah,
We don't,
exactly.
yeah, we don't know where it is now, but that is definitely how it started.
And one of Kaharski's article, or somebody's article, I think it was Kaharski, was saying that when it comes to the offseason decisions, I mean, Robinson's kind of the wild card because we don't know how strongly he feels about the staff, nor do we know how much power he really has. If he goes to Amy Adams and says, "Hey, I think we need to make a change," does he have enough power that she'd be like, "Okay, do it"? Or maybe he loves Malarkey. Who knows? I don't know. But that's kind of the wild card in this whole situation, is what Robinson thinks about all this. Because and to be fair, this is all kind of spiraled out of control the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I think
Two weeks ago, things are looking great.
we were calling out the signs of the offense all year long. I mean, everybody knew that And we actually defended them from the national, because I mean the national backlash was, I think, over the top. They didn't give them enough credit, but then kind of makes us look stupid when the next two games they come out and just completely blow everything they'd set up. But yeah, I mean, these last 2 weeks, there's a lot riding on this for a great number of people. And so let's run through the playoff scenarios real quick for those of you who maybe haven't checked up on them, or it's pretty simple actually for the Titans. They do have a clinching scenario this week. If they beat the Rams and then the Bills lose to the Patriots, so you think that one's likely, and then if the Ravens lose to the Colts, not likely. But if all three of those things happen, the Titans would win the division, or excuse me, clinch a playoff spot. Now, even if they lose to the Rams, they're not done. It would all come down to the Jags game. If we beat the Jags and Buffalo loses to either the Patriots this week or the Dolphins next week, then the Titans would get the spot. But basically, there's actually a scenario if the Titans won out, the Bills won out, the Ravens won out, Titans would be the odd team out there. And you got to think, from the way things look, if you beat the Jags, you're probably going to go. If we beat the Rams, though, and lose to the Jags, that one is much less certain. So the Ravens, the Bills, and the Titans, those are the three teams to watch. The Chargers, I know, are still in it, but pretty much every scenario I ran, the Titans would not lose a tiebreaker to the Chargers. So it's really the Bills and Ravens you have to focus on. And what's crazy, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they beat the Ravens. That only comes into play if it's
head to head.
Both the Titans and Ravens are tied. Yeah. If they're a three-way tie with the Bills, Titans and Ravens and Bills actually go, because head to head does not come into play there. So what do you think about the end of the year, Scott? I mean, do you see it ending 8-8 and with them missing the playoffs? Because some people have started saying, well, the Jags might be resting players. Nuh-uh. They might be playing for a bye in week 17.
Man, I mean, it's hard not to think they're going to lose both games if you just objectively look. But at the same time, I kind of think they could win one of these two. Just, if they first of all, Goff only threw for 120 yards last week in that blowout. They ran the ball. The one thing that the Titans can do is stop the run. Now, Gurley's he's a different cat.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. I happen to know that the Rams returned 3 punts inside the 20 and inside the 5.
Ooh.
In that game. And, it's not like they marched up down the field, which they did running the ball, but it was like 47-7 or whatever the score was. But, you take a lot of that out, and that's probably a much closer game. And I don't think Goff, even everyone's talking about Goff, his resurrection and everything, but they're running the ball. I mean,
Gurley's he's an MVP talk right now.
I heard Cassell say that they don't even have a lot of drop back passes for Goff. They do a lot of play action. They do a lot of screens and stuff like that, and they scheme it, which I'm sure they'll pass all over the Titans if they want to. But I could see a scenario where Goff doesn't have a real good game, but I mean their defense is playing great too. So
if you're looking for some hope in this game, this is the stretch the Rams are coming off right now. They had to play the Vikings. They lost 24-7. Then they had to play the Saints, the Cardinals, the Eagles. Then they were at Seattle, and now they're going to Tennessee. So they're traveling across the country, second of a 2-game road trip. And I mean, these are some big games they were having to play in. The Cardinals, we know what their defense is like. The Eagles, the Seahawks. And now they're coming across country to play the Titans, who look like a dead team right now. I mean, it's a classic trap game. Now, I will say I think the Rams can clinch the division with a win. So they've got quite a bit to play for. But it's very possible we could catch them at a bad time. And I think the Titans are going to play well this game. I think they're actually going to play well. I do not think they're going to win. I think they're going to lose a close one. But I think they'll play well in this game. And the crazy thing is, even if they somehow find a way to win this, they still almost have to win next week, just because the way the tiebreakers shake out. Now, this in terms of panic mode, if the Bills beat the Patriots, that's when people need to start worrying, because then we're hoping for a Dolphins win against the Bills in Week 17, which is I wouldn't say is likely at all, given that the Dolphins won't be playing for anything. And then there's the off chance if Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers go and beat the Jags, and it's at San Francisco. If they pull
I
that
wouldn't.
off somehow,
Yeah, I wouldn't call that impossible at all.
yeah, if they pull that off and the Titans find a way to beat the Rams, then we're doing a complete 180, and Week 17's for the division. So there's all kinds of crazy. In fact, the scenario I forgot: Titans can actually finish 8-8 and still get a playoff spot.
That's what I was waiting to jump in there with. And hey, there's 4 games that have to go a certain way.
Yeah,
I saw them post it. They weren't crazy. The chances that all 4 happen are low, but individually, those games they could all go that way.
yeah. I mean, we just saw the Dolphins beat the Patriots a few weeks ago. It's like anything can happen in this league at this point. It's interesting, and it's going to be. I mean, I'm nervous. I can't believe they were this close to the playoffs and are now this close to completely botching what. Yeah, exactly. That's my
And
thought.
hey, I mean, honestly, I have to say, Malarkey deserves a lot of the blame, especially for the way these last 2 games were handled, some of the decisions he made.
Yeah.
And the big picture, I mean, he's responsible for the defense. And I mean, if you're 8-4 with this schedule and crumble to the bottom and 8-8,
Mm-hmm.
you have to discuss the future and the makeup of the coaching staff. I mean, it has to be on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I thought they would win at least one of those 2 games, and we'd be in a much better spot here. But here we are, 8-6 after being 8-4, and the Titans. It's not a must win this week, but you'd certainly hope to see them play well if you want to get things back on track and hopefully make the playoffs. It would be a colossal disappointment. I mean, just a massive. And then we haven't even talked about just all of everything that's fell right for them this year. I mean, the schedule has been incredibly favorable. They've had very little major injuries. The Texans have been decimated by injury. The Colts are lost their quarterback and have an inept staff there. It's just crazy how everything sort of fell into play for them, and we are very close to dropping the ball.
How can you ever think about competing with the Colts next year with Andrew
Yeah.
Luck and Jeff Fisher and Jeff Fisher?
That's right. Oh man, that would
I can
be that'd be hilarious.
I could actually see that crazy owner hiring him. I mean,
Oh yeah, there's no telling what that guy will do.
I think it's possible.
There's no telling what that guy will do. And Luck, who knows what will end up happening with him as well. He's coming back from his European trip to.
Yeah,
I think there's a chance he might need more surgery, but
he's in Europe getting what's it
was it
called?
the stem cell treatments?
Stem cell, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you can, which that right there tells you he's in. There's some trouble there. If he's getting stem cell stuff, there's definitely long-term trouble.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're still out there listening to us, we appreciate it. It's hard to do these podcasts when the season's spiraling downward as it seems to be right now, but we will keep pressing on, and regardless of what happens, we've got 2 games left, hopefully more, but we'll see how that all shakes out, and hopefully you guys will stick with us to the end of the year, and we'll see where things go from there. So, Scotty, thanks so much for joining us. You guys can send donations in for us to fix Jamal's internet. You can donate to Titans Report. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, hopefully Jamal will be able to get his internet fixed soon. And yeah, anything else, Scotty, to add? Anything we forgot before we hop off here?
I was just going to say, much like the problems with the team, Jamal doesn't know what's wrong with that or his internet.
He'll enjoy that if he makes it this far. I bet he won't make it this far. We'll see. Jamal, if you make it this far, you have to let us know. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Episode 152 of the Two Tone Crew. You can find us online at titansreport.com. You can reach us on Facebook, facebook.com/TitansReport. We have a Twitter account. It's just at Titans Report. And you can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much any podcast service. Leave us a review on iTunes. Let us know what you think of the show. Thank you all for your support, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Or maybe not. It depends.
I know it'd be really hard to